It was a cold and rainy afternoon when Sarah stepped into Green Lane Masjid for the first time. The storm in the sky seemed to mirror the chaos in her heart. She was lost, unsure of who she was, where she was headed, or even what she believed in. But as she crossed the threshold, something unexpected stirred within her. It wasn't just the serenity of the place. It was the women dressed in their abayas and niqabs who seemed to move with a quiet confidence and grace that Sarah had never known. They looked like figures from a dream, but in that moment, they felt alive, real, full of strength, purpose, and peace. Sarah stood there, feeling out of place. She was still in her miniskirt, carrying the weight of her past with her, unsure of how she fit into this new world. Yet as the women smiled at her and spoke to her with warmth, she realized something. This place, these people, weren't strangers. They made her feel for the first time like she belonged. The peace they radiated wasn't just in their outward appearances. It was in their hearts, something Sarah's own soul longed for. In a world filled with noise and confusion, their tranquility was the anchor her heart had been searching for. A few weeks later, Sarah returned to the masjid, heart pounding in anticipation. She was about to take her shahada, the declaration of her faith. Standing before the congregation, she felt her breath quicken, her hands trembling. This wasn't just another step, it was a leap into the unknown. She whispered the words, Ashhadu alla ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadur Rasulullah. As the words left her lips, an overwhelming sense of relief washed over her. It felt like the world shifted, realigning itself with her newfound faith. She wasn't just Sarah anymore. She was Sarah the Muslim, and that name, that identity, could never be taken from her. But peace, as it often does, was fleeting. Her family, the people she had always turned to for love and comfort, didn't understand. They didn't understand her pull toward Islam, her desire to embrace something so foreign to them. Confusion turned to hurt, and soon they cut her off. The silence that followed was deafening. The pain was more than she had ever anticipated, especially in the darkest moments of her life. She missed them more than words could express, especially during the painful times in her troubled marriage. She longed for her father's protection, for her brother's sense of security. But they weren't there. The absence of her family left a gaping hole in her heart, and the loneliness grew, wrapping around her soul like a heavy chain. The loneliness was crushing. Sarah reached out to her friends, hoping they would be the comfort she desperately needed. But her phone calls went unanswered, and she realized in that painful silence that no one could save her. No one could fix her. Not her family, not her friends, only Allah. In the quiet of her car, with tears streaming down her face, Sarah realized the truth. She had been expecting others to carry her through, but the only one who could truly help her was Allah. With that realization, she turned to Him. She recited Ayat al-Kursi, the three Quls, and poured her heart out in prayer. Ya Allah, keep me in the deen. Keep me in the deen, no matter what, she whispered. The words felt like a lifeline, pulling her from the brink of despair. For the first time in what felt like forever, peace filled her heart. The weight didn't disappear, but she knew she wasn't carrying it alone. Even with her newfound connection to Allah, Sarah's struggles weren't over. There were days when the burden of her emotions threatened to crush her. One such day, she stood in front of her bathroom mirror, staring at a reflection she didn't recognize. The pain was unbearable, and for a moment she thought she might lose herself. But then she heard a voice in her mind, quiet yet clear. Look outside. She looked out the window and for the first time in a long while, noticed the sky. It was vast and endless, a symbol of something greater than herself. Her heart racing, Sarah ran downstairs and out into the garden. Dropping to her knees, she gazed up at the heavens. And in that moment, she remembered a verse from the Quran. For those who believe, they just have to look at the sky, and it will remind them of Allah. Tears filled her eyes as she thanked Allah for the blessings in her life. She had been so focused on her pain that she had forgotten to see the beauty around her, the love of her children, her health, her faith. The pain didn't vanish, but it felt lighter. She didn't need anyone but Allah. She didn't need the approval of her family, her friends, or anyone else. What mattered most was her connection to Him. Reflecting on her journey, Sarah saw how far she had come. She had faced loss, loneliness, and pain. But with each trial, she had drawn closer to Allah. The more she learned about the Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, his kindness, his strength, his respect for women, the more she found herself inspired to keep going, even when she felt like she couldn't. She had learned that it was okay to cry, to show vulnerability, and to seek help from Allah when she felt weak. Before Islam, Sarah had been lost. She had no direction, no purpose. But now her path was clear. Her purpose was to return to Allah, to live a life that pleased Him, and to pray that one day she would be reunited with her family in paradise. The fleeting things of this world no longer mattered. What mattered was Allah's mercy, His love, and the hope that one day she would return to Him. For anyone considering Islam but afraid of what their families or friends might think, Sarah's message is simple. Hold on to your faith. Even if it's just a spark, keep learning, keep praying, and remember that the ultimate goal is paradise. The shaitan will try to pull you away, but Allah will always be there for you. Keep moving forward even when it feels impossible. Allah will guide you, and He will never leave you.